As always, when we begin our college hour presentation. So welcome to another Thursday College Hour. I'm Ed Hashima. I'm the director for the Center for Teaching and Learning here at ARC, and we facilitate all of the programs. And on behalf of my colleague, Christina Wagner, thanks for turning up on a nice Thursday afternoon. We've got a really nice program here this week. We are featuring another installment of a program that we run regularly called ARC Speaks, where we hear the voices of various students on campus, and they share their perspectives, what it's like to be a student here at ARC. And this week, we're featuring students who had a more non-traditional background and path to their education. So we're going to hear from returning students. In a second, I'll turn it over to my colleague, Christina Casper-Denman, who is a professor in the anthropology and history departments here at ARC, and she's going to tell us a little bit about who the speakers are. Just to ask that everybody remain for the entirety of the program. We go for the full hour until 1:15. If you do need to leave, we just ask that you make your exit quietly and don't let the doors slam behind you because they're tricky like that. And, oh, good. It's also a good time to silence your phones so that they don't disrupt the presentation and interfere with our speakers here this afternoon. We got a great program coming up next week that'll also feature Christina Casper-Denman. We've got another ongoing series where the honors program at ARC invites faculty to speak about a book that's of interest to our ARC community. And next week we've got a really great book, a cookbook, correct, called Between Meals, which is about how refugee families make a transition into their new homes here in the United States of America by maintaining their food traditions. And I'm really looking forward to that. I think it's going to be great. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to our birthday girl, Christina Casper-Denman. And I'll leave this microphone here for our panelists.
Thank you, Ed, so much. This is part of the ARC Speaks presentation, as Ed was talking about. It's important for us to talk about what's happening on our campus. You can have experts all you want from all around, but more importantly, Professor Hokerson from the Psych department and I decided the best voices are the ones that come from the campus itself. So today we have our non-traditional, and they're non-traditional for a lot of reasons. I mean, you'll figure out exactly what's non-traditional about them. But we are a community college, and the whole point of a community college is to really embrace the community. Everyone's interests, everyone's expertise, and to understand that everyone brings a gift with them when they come to the school as well. So today, we have 4 people who are wonderful enough to give up their lunchtime with us. We're going to hear from Julie, we're going to hear from Carla, we're going to hear from Marla. I did not do that to match, but that's Carla and Marla, and Kurt. And they're going to be telling you about their experiences. And the first question that we really want to focus on is, why did you decide to come back to school? Why did you decide at a non-traditional age to come to school? So you guys can fight over who goes first.
Hi, my name is Julie Robb, and I decided to come back to college in the fall of 2014. I was at a low peak in my life and going through a serious bout of depression and anxiety, separation of employment after a long time with a certain company and in the field I was in. My dad started having issues with his health, and I woke up one day and I said, Julie, take that bus and go enroll at American River College, and you need to do it in gerontology. So you can be there for your father in a lot of ways, and you can be there for yourself. So I came to American River College, and I enrolled in gerontology classes, where is what I'm at right now. And it has been the absolute best experience and the best personal growth that I could ever have achieved in my life. It was an awakening for me, and I've had nothing but positive experience. I overcame depression, I gained confidence, I gained self-worth, and I did lose my father during the semester, right before finals. He started getting very ill, and I persevered through it all. And his last words to me were, Julie, I want you to continue at school no matter how hard it gets. Always do it and get that degree, and I'll be looking down on you from heaven. And I think one thing that leaned me toward gerontology, my first experience was taking care of my mom after she had a stroke. And I found that how hard it was for family members to find resources to help as they cared for the others and as they cared for themselves in the process. And that's why my passion is definitely for the gerontology field.
Is it working? I have a little bit different story. I had a full career. I retired at the age of 59, and I was sitting at home for 6 months and realized that I was not getting anything done in my life, and my wife was not too happy with me either, being around that much. So I decided to find another educational field, and so I started looking around. And the first thing I tried to do was get into University of California, Davis, but they wouldn't accept me, not because of me, but because of them. But they actually, they wouldn't allow second degrees, so I couldn't go back. So I ended up at Sacramento State. I was going to do Native American Studies, but as it turned out, I took a couple anthropology classes. One at Sierra College under a professor I will not name, because she's in the room. And so then I got interested in anthropology, and my second year in the master's program, I was asked if I wanted to teach, and I've been teaching ever since. It's a new field, it's a new career, and it's probably been the best career I've ever had in the sense of fulfillment, and I've enjoyed every minute of it.
What happened for me is that I was sitting at home one Halloween, and I had made all these great spider webs and clapped your hands and the spiders dropped from the ceiling, and when people came to the door they could put their hand in these mushy gushy spaghetti noodles. My kids weren't home, and no one really came by. And I started crying, and I thought, oh my God, this is going to be my life. My kids are going, and they need to go, and I'm going to be doing what? My kids came home, found me crying, and they said, oh, we won't go away next Halloween, Mom. I said, no, that's not the point. You're supposed to leave. That's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to, get you to leave the nest. I thought, I need to go back. I need to become more interesting. I had taken off and had been very fortunate to take off 20 years and raise my kids. I came to American River College, and I was petrified. My first degree I received was in 1979. It was quite a while from 1979 till 2005 to have not been in school. I remember I got on the campus and I thought, I am going to be a fossil on campus here. And I saw this woman walking across campus, and she was rolling a backpack, and she had on a house coat, what we call in Midwest a house coat. And I looked at her and I thought, oh God, I think she's as old as I am. In fact, she's probably older. Woo! How you do that. I thought, I can do this. So I actually came back to school as an interior design major. I had done some interior design commercial work when I was younger in my working life. And I thought, well, let me see what I can do. I want to have a career. I had an education already in international business. I'd had a full career in that before I actually had my kids, because I had my kids late. What do I have talent at? So I decided to go back to and take formal interior design classes. The cool part about college hours is that we had a speaker that came, and I came to hear the speaker. And she was from out of state, and her name is Barbara Moore, and she had gone around the United States for 5 years, dressed up as 3 different types of older adults. And she explained her experience, and she's actually a product designer as well. And she had a statement that just resonated with me, is that we don't really have limitations as humans, we just have a failure to design. And so I thought, what I really want to do is in designing, I want design to be practical. I want it to enhance someone's life. I don't want to pick out people's colors or their sofas or anything. So I thought, well, who's my population group that I want to design for? And I realized that a lot of the population group that I wanted to design for was older adults. So I decided, well, let me go over to the Gero department. So I started taking classes in the gerontology department, and I loved it. It was great, and it really helped me with my design business. And as I was taking classes, both my gerontology professors and my interior design professor said, Carla, you know what, you need to teach. You really just need to teach. I had actually opened up my own business, and I was working doing assessments, and I had done several bathrooms for people. And so I went back to school. I went to San Francisco State. So I graduated here in 2010 with 3 degrees, a couple of certificates. So, you know, one of the normal older adult students, just kind of not worried that I don't know everything enough. And I hit San Francisco State, and I commuted down to San Francisco State for 2 years, and I got my master's. The minute I graduated from there, I was fortunate, was able to get a position doing an adjunct teaching job. Over the last, so that was 2012. So over the last 5 years, I have been working as an adjunct, and 2 years ago, I was hired full-time, and I'm now the department chair for the gerontology department. If you had asked me when I came back to school and was walking across that campus that day and feeling like a fossil that I'd ever be here, I would have said, you're full of it. You're crazy. I mean, it's a huge journey, but that's what I like about American River College, is that you guys, everyone needs to dream, and when you dream, it can happen. And that the teachers here and the professors are here to actually shepherd you, to help you grow and really help you accomplish what your dreams are. So that's my story.
My name's Marla. I actually came back because my kids wanted to come back, and they wanted me to come with them. So that was fall of 2011, and I went into the respiratory therapist, whatever, and then my dad passed away, and I ended up dropping almost every class I had for the first semester and getting, I believe, a C and a D for the other 2 classes I didn't drop. And I thought, I can't do this. So then I decided, okay, I'm going to give it another try, and I got all A's for the next semester. I took 3 classes. I said, I'm not going to try to take 5 or 6 classes per semester. You just can't jump in that fast. At least I couldn't. And so then I tried to get into chemistry. And I couldn't get into chemistry for 1 semester, so I took other classes. And then I couldn't get into chemistry for another semester, and I took this anthropology class that was witchcraft, magic, witchcraft, and religion with this lovely woman here. And my son was with me, and I actually fell in love with anthropology and this woman right there. And she inspired me, and so I changed, and now I'm an anthro major, and hopefully in the spring I will be finally graduating. So that's my story. Well, I'm going to come and talk to you about that because I don't know yet. I haven't formalized all the things yet.
Why AR? Why did you choose AR?
It's kind of ironic. I call it a divine intervention for me because it was very distinct when I woke up that morning. The instructions that I felt in my heart was to get on the bus because one thing that was going to get me out of the isolation state that my depression had taken me into. And it was very distinct that it had to be American River College. I lived closer to Folsom Lake College. It might have been simpler there, but like I said, this was very strong in my heart. And I knew that American River College had the best gerontology classes, which is where I really wanted to go. From the moment I stepped on the grounds of American River College, I knew in my heart that that's where I was meant to be. And I've been very blessed to work in 2 different departments since I've been here, in addition to taking all my classes and everything. Like I said, this was a divine intervention for me, and I'm glad that I took that leap of faith because I was terrified. I did not know what to expect when I got here. My my inside said, you're gonna fail. You think you're a loser right now, you're gonna fail, you're not gonna be able to do the grades. To this day, I've been able to maintain a 4.0, and I've gained my confidence and other things, and like I said, this has been an amazing. The one thing I do regret that I thought about this morning was not being able to take that public speaking class that I was scheduled to take this semester, because that probably would have helped me today.
Except for she needed to take her math class, so
Yeah.
she's been putting it off. I have to say I'm fortunate because Julie actually works with me at the gerontology department, and I wouldn't be able to do anything that I do now without her help. She's one of the best students I've ever had as well, so when she says that, she is a great student. I came to American River College pretty much, there's really no one that teaches interior design around here, ever. Then when I went to take my move to gerontology, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that here we have in our own little neighborhood in Sacramento, California, one of the most outstanding award-winning programs in the whole United States for gerontology, right here in our lovely community college at a very good, really affordable way to attend. It's exceptionally more affordable because in the gerontology department we share textbooks, so it really makes it a lot easier for our students. We have a program of merit. It doesn't sound, it's like, well, who cares? But there's only 10 schools in all of the whole United States that teach gerontology that have the designation of gerontology program of merit, and we're one of them. The program's been around for 41 years. That's longer pretty much than any program in gerontology in the whole United States. And we were just recently asked to become the first accredited gerontology program in the United States, which is a really great thing. I went to, as I was fortunate to be mentored by the two women who have now retired from the department. They were both my mentors. I see that that's a very common thing, is that the professors here are great at mentoring us as students. But I would go to in a meeting, because now they're retired, I have to go to the meetings. And there will be meetings in Los Angeles. I actually ended to go to Florida last year. And I walk in, and the minute when I say that I'm with American River College, you know, I'm American River College. I'm like a rock star. The program's a rock star for all these people around the United States. I'm like, oh my gosh, now I go, I'm with American River College, right? I mean, I'm there with USC and UCLA, and I have as much ability to be as proud of ARC as they are of USC, because our program is that great of a reputation and has that great of a educational basis. So why ARC? Is because it was the ones that had something to offer me.
Mine was because my daughter decided that she wanted to be a respiratory therapist, and I said, well, that sounds good. Where are you going to go? And she said, American River College offers, and we were living right around the corner. Of course, 2 months later, we moved all the way down to South Sac, so the commute was a lot longer, but that's the reason I came.
Let's see, I'm trying to figure out exactly how to say this. I had a wife, a daughter, another daughter that took anthropology courses here back in 80s, and they all enjoyed their coursework. And I was teaching at Sac State on a part-time basis, and I get a call and asked me if I wanted to go for an interview at American River College. And because of that background, immediately I knew that the department was one I wanted to be with. And when I got here, the individuals that run the department and are a part of the department were so good to me in the sense of allowing me to take and teach courses that I wanted to teach, which designed courses in anthropology, and I got to teach courses in anthropology that I had been teaching at Sac State for probably 12 years and teaching the same course over and over and over again. So this school gave me that opportunity to achieve some of the goals that I wanted to achieve as far as this department and my abilities to teach in some of the courses I wanted to teach.
Sorry, Alex, I forgot to use the microphone. So I'm going to steal this one. There is a perception that some classes, some time frames during the day are less welcoming for the non-traditional students, are less welcoming for the returning students. Which time frames, which time of the day did you feel most welcome on campus? Which time of day did you, like going back to what Carla was saying, did you say like, I see my people? When was it most comfortable for all of you?
I would say that I have felt comfortable here 100% of the time. There is no, the only limitations I would have had were the ones I put on myself. I finally took a class at night, and I said, I can't do that. You know I have problems seeing at night. And I'm like, yeah, I can. So I think the only limitations that have been set for me have been the ones I placed on myself. I've been felt welcome. I've taken classes at 7:30 in the morning, and I've taken classes at 6 o'clock at night till 9 o'clock at night. All the way across, I have been welcomed by the students, professors, everyone here. It's been, like I said, the greatest experience, and I think the only ageism that I've experienced here is the ones that I put on myself when I said, I'm too old to be able to do this.
I actually had a couple of challenges because I would drop my children to high school. They didn't drive yet. One was in 8th grade, and one was a freshman in high school. So I needed to make sure that I could take classes while they were in school. So I would drop them off at 8. I would come to class, and then I would make sure I was home or in the town so I could pick them up again at 2:30. So I had a very narrow and specific time period that I could take classes to begin with until they got older. It was great because we would come home and we'd all do homework together. And it was kind of a competition to see if they could actually beat me in grades. They couldn't. But it was nice because it did show them about going back. But as far as finding my people, I think it's different when you come back as an older student because your people are who you are taking that group with. So if you're an anthropology student coming back, your people become all your other anthropology students. My people became all the interior design students. And then my people became the gerontology students. So I actually had 2 peoples on campus. And I know it's not correct, but it was interesting because at that time period too, because of that, our interior design department decided that we should get more involved in gerontology. And so it was during that time period that I was helping the gerontology department chair here work on developing a program for our gerontology students. So we actually have a degree in gerontology with a concentration in interior design. So that's made it easier to definitely see who my people were.
I find that evening works the best for people my age because it seems like that's where I find more those of us that are older, whether it's 35 to 95. But I've only ever had one person tell me, why was I taking up a chair for somebody that could have, and I think it was in philosophy, and I was like, really? And I'm like, I deserve to be here just as much as you do. So I just kind of dismissed her.
Was that Dave's class?
No,
Okay, because
No.
I was going to ask who it was.
no. I don't remember her. She was not important.
Well, since I've been here, I've taught at mostly in the evenings, and I get a variety of ages in my classes, and I don't see it. I think when I was teaching the earlier classes, I saw less and less of my age. Of course, my age is really old, but
Excuse me?
we'll match ages later. But I think the time frame that I see the most people my age would be in the evenings. And it seems to be a more comfortable time for them.
Because most of us work.
Yeah, most of us work.
We'll open up to other questions as well shortly here. But I thought when you made your comment, I thought a good question would be, what do you think it means to be old?
What does it mean to be old? I think it means you're alive. I've found that, in fact, I wrote a poem about this one time, that as long as I don't look in the mirror, I feel young. So that seems to be the problem is when you age, it's more out here. It's more of a physical thing. And I think mentally, you still stay very young, especially if you keep yourself occupied, you do things, you get into new things, try new things. And if you do that, I think the only aging is that physical element that kind of creeps up every morning until you warm yourself in a shower or something.
Well, this semester have, my arthritis has gotten worse. So writing has gotten a little bit more challenging, but I went to our lovely DSPS and am now doing my testing there so that I have a little longer to make sure I can get all the answers done without rushing and hurting myself. But other than that, I've never thought of being old. I guess I've got a young soul still, so.
Of course, now, I do whole lectures on this particular subject, but what we find is that people always feel old. Old to them, or defined old, is 15 years older than you are. So we usually never feel old until something happens to us, like we have arthritis, and then we feel older. So we use the word older because really, are you old enough? Because it's a chronological number, but it's a social construct, right? And it's old enough. Are you old enough to drive? Are you old enough to vote? Are you old enough to drink? And then we only picked old when we established Social Security right after World War II. That's when we actually put old to a number. Before that, we didn't have a number for old, and it became 65 because that's when we were old enough to collect money from the government. So I don't actually have I don't feel old. I feel older every year. I don't feel older even when I'm had to start wearing glasses because that's an accommodation that I do. And I could have had to wear these glasses when I was 5 or 6 or 7. And I think the thing is that we just pay more attention to things when they're making changes. We've been changing our abilities all through life. It's just that when we're 28 or 18 or 36, we don't pay attention to it as much because we don't even have greeting cards that point that out. So, how can we feel it if there's not a greeting card to tell us that we're old, right? So, it's old is just something that we're given, and that's a big thing for our department, and that's one of the things that we're working against and trying to have. In fact, you've probably seen on campus, I have a question on what is gerontology, but we're having a photo contest right now, and it is, what do you picture when you hear the word old? And people can send in a black and white photo, a color photo, or something that they've created, a collage, a ceramics. They just need to take a picture and send it to me. Because really when we look at old, we're really looking at old bread, old cheese. People get older. So it's going to be very interesting to see what comes up with that. We're having, the winners will be displayed at the conference we're having on November 18th. And President Green will be handing out the awards to the top 3 people, which they get textbooks. People, if you are wanting to participate, the prizes are a textbook and a parking pass, which is a pretty good prize. But we are having an aging awareness conference, and part of the reason that we decided to do this is because we needed an outreach to our own campus on getting rid of this idea, because when we think old, we age ourselves, because getting older can be a self-fulfilling prophecy. So, and I'll pass because I could keep on going.
Well, I don't know how I can top that. I would learn from the best. When I think of old, to me, is I've gotten older, but with it, I've gained more of life experiences, wisdom, and awareness that have carried me to the different stages and the different journeys in life. So, like I said, when I think of old, I just think of more awareness and having my eyes more wide open.
So we're going to take a moment. Are there any questions from the audience? And I'm going to attempt to come to you, so let me know where you are. Otherwise, I'll just come at you and make you ask a question, which is also delightful. Oh, that made it easier. Someone, we're pointing. Who are you pointing at?
I don't need that.
No, well, we need it for the...
Oh, okay. All right, I'm loud enough. Believe me. Hi. And I promise there'll be a question at the end of this. Okay. I'm also adjunct, and I've taught here for a number of years, and as I tell my students, I'm in my extremely late 30s, okay, so I can relate. We spend a lot of time recently busting our butts about enrollments. They're going down. We're fighting. Our classes are shrinking. We need to get more people. And I've increasingly become to think that there's a demographic issue that's even stronger than the what are we offering and whatever, because my daughter was born at the peak year of birth of her generation, and that was 1990. And the curve of college students has been dropping ever since. But what group is growing? Okay? So my question to you is, what can we do as an institution to increase the enrollments of returning students? What are the obstacles that you face just to get in here? Are there expectations that we need to be rethinking about degrees and transfer programs and all these things? How do we reach out to returning students? If we really want to increase enrollments and all we're doing is busting our butts to get younger people in here when the demographic is dropping, what can we be doing to reverse that by talking to people like you? That's my question.
Well, I think, we have the equity, diversity group that's starting on campus. They don't recognize age as one of those issues. Even as a campus, we're finding that age isn't really something that people are addressing. There are issues. It's still even enrolling online. I know that we're working on that as well. But one of the ways that we've been getting people back is because we do illegal continuing education units, quote unquote. We had to drop our continuing education units. So now our continuing education units are actually wrapped into our mini certification program so that we could continue, because that's where we get some of our students. We also get students because we have 3 vocational programs too, and I think that's the other thing we have to look at, is that as an older student, I'm coming back, I'm not necessarily like me or whatever that I had no plans on going and getting my master's. I had plans on going and getting a business, right? So we actually just established or have in the works to have a new course called New Gray Markets, so that people that are coming back on campus and thought of an idea for gerontology or for business will be able to start one up, and we'll work with them and get their business started. And I think that's one of the things we have to look at. We get a lot of people through our vocational courses because they can, in 13 weeks, get a job. And they're changing and improving themselves. But I think the bigger thing is us as professors that we can do a lot about that, a lot. It's shepherding our students. Our older students maybe need a little bit more than sometimes when they first come back in. I had a student that came back to school at 69, and she really had never used a computer before, and she was terrified of taking a test on a computer. And so I sat in my office and I asked her the questions verbally, and she answered them, and now she's not only utilizing the computer, she's helping the other people in the class, and she just became an Uber driver. And she also drives for Lyft, and she proceeded to tell me how the software for Uber was so much more friendlier than the Lyft, because she's got that on her phone and da-da-da-da-da, and now she's becoming very technologically savvy. So I think we also just have to get off the idea that because someone's coming back, they're not going to learn that they're not wanting to. It's a practice skill. It's not like they're never going to accomplish that skill. It's just that we have to have that soft hand to allow them to develop that skill again, and then they can take off from there.
I think that what might be a good way of getting more is to show them that in 2 years or 3 years, they can actually get a job, and show them what kind of jobs are available for older people. Is it going to be something that's going to advance them? Is it a job that might have room for advancement? Because people my age and older usually aren't going to go further in school. Now, I might, but I don't know yet. I'm going to be discussing that with Christina.
You'll be going to more school.
So. But if we just gave them the opportunity to see that they could get advancement or a better job, or perhaps further on in the job that they already have, I think that would help bring people back to school.
I agree.
Okay.
I'll say one other thing that Julie and I have been doing, and that's why it's been so nice to have Julie, is that we started a program in the gerontology department. We call it the Next Steps, and we put together like a profile page. Julie organizes and sends people into my office all the time, and then we talk about where they want to go. And we're putting together a resource type of guide so that when someone contacts us and they need someone that's a interior environmental designer, I'll have our students and know where they're going. So to us, it's that connection. How do we build that connection so that my students that graduate can help my next students that are coming up? When we said an internship, my students used to go and just be caregivers. That's just not allowed anymore in our department. You need to go work with the department. You need to work with Laura Connolly at the State Department of Aging. We need to be letting the people explore what it is. So again, another thing for the conference. We're going to be having a resource fair there, and we've lined up what some of these jobs are, like an RT. If you're going to be a respiratory therapist, why would you want to take a gerontology course? Of course, being a gerontology department, I think everyone should always have a gerontology course, because the people that you're going to be serving, no matter what your job, no matter what your occupation, you're going to be working with older adults. So to me, that should be a basic requirement, but that's one of the things we're going to be showing even at the conference. One of our interns have been working on that to show where's that pathway, and that's what we've been trying to establish. Where's the pathway? You never find in the paper, if I opened up the want ads or I typed in on Indeed.com and I want to do a job search, there's nothing that's going to come up, oh, we want a gerontologist. There's nothing there. So how do we create the jobs? And I think it's a great opportunity to be able to create these jobs, because a lot of jobs that are out there are not going to be there when some of our students graduate. So I think if we're already gearing them up to say, hey, we're not training you for maybe one specific job, but what could you create and where could that go? I just showed our students the robot they just came up with that works as the front desk at a hotel now. And she has beautiful hair, and really great body, and she speaks like 36 languages. Well, why the heck would they want to have me? I barely speak English. So what would be the job that would help with that? Because she's still going to need someone to dress her and change her and, make her learn the languages and maybe give her social cues on how do you work with older adults. So we have to kind of be thinking outside that box for them, too, a little bit.
I think one of the other things to address your question is that if we really are a community college, we're not just about certificates, and we're not just about enrollment, and we're not just about degrees. We're about getting people who want to be here and love to learn. And I'm lucky this semester I have 2 retired women who actually are taking the class just for fun, just because they can. And so I think it's important because my students get to learn from them. I get to learn from them, and there's nothing better than that.
That was actually my other question, because I love returning students when I teach. They're my favorite students because they're always the best motivated. They already know more. They have way better skills and study habits. I'm in the arts, so they have more story to draw from. But because I'm in the arts, talk about no pathways. There are a lot of people who may be retired and may not particularly, they're done with their careers, but they want the personal enrichment. They want the class or two. I would love to retake the literature class that I blew off when I was 19, okay, when I was in college. What's the room for those students? Are they taking up a seat? I mean, is that issue going to come up? Are they taking up a seat because they're not doing a degree for someone who is? That's my question.
And I think that's where we need to be having like the OLLI program, like Sierra College has an OLLI. They get a lot of older adult students because they actually offer courses for the older adults. And same to Sac State, where they do the Renaissance program. So those are two places that I see a lot of the older adults going that want to just learn for the joy of learning.
I have a question. My name is Mike, and I look around the room and I don't see the so-called young people group.
You're looking right here. This is me.
My question is there any way that we could, when I was coming here, I wanted to put on my hoodie and use her glasses to come to this event. Is there any way that we can change that word, that identity, old? Is there any way that we could have a mass movement to change that word right there, that word old? Because I done heard it so much since I came in here that it makes me want to throw up.
And that's why we're really looking at, ARP has a new campaign, Disrupt Aging, and their big centerfold thing is what is old, because that's the whole concept is that what is old? I mean, we actually start aging the moment we're born, so is that old? And so we need to, and that's one of the things I'm looking at is that maybe we need to define life instead of in the areas of being a teen and being middle-aged. Maybe we need to do it more on what we do during those ages.
Why can't we be just students?
Well, you are, but that wasn't the focus, I think, of what they were talking about as return students. So, and most of our return students are older students.
There you go again.
Well, you know what? I can't avoid the fact I'm older. In fact, I celebrate it. There's so much nice things about being older. I actually like being older. I mean, I would not want to be younger, no offense, but I kind of like every age I am. I mean, most of you will see my car, it says I love aging on it. And I have people stop me everywhere or giving me thumbs up on the freeway. Sometimes I think it's just my driving, and it probably is. But
you still did not answer my question. Why can't we be just students?
I address my students as students in class,
Yeah.
always.
That's all.
Right. It's students,
you know,
or
that
we
word-
need to be specific, is that I'm a student that was born in this time period, because then we understand the differences between the cohorts. But if I use just old or older in a student, that's nothing. That's that nebulous cloud that I'm never going to be part of.
I understand
So-
that. Can I get
Yeah.
someone else?
Well, I never address any of my students as anything other than students either. So it's, and I never think of that term when I'm teaching. And obviously, everybody out in the audience when I'm teaching is a student, and I think of them that way, and I don't think about their age. I don't think about any accommodation other than I'm getting my word across to them, and that's my goal, and I'm hoping I'm teaching them something, and in return they learn enough and get enough out of my classes that it provides something for them in their future.
Yeah, because I sorry to interrupt, but I loved your comment when you said you don't feel old or see old until you look into the mirror, right? And so there's no mirrors out here on campus, is it?
No?
We're just students. Why do we have to keep using that word old? Can we have a mass movement and change that word where we stop using that word old?
Okay, why don't you do it?
What was your suggestion?
I said, how about senior? I was just messing with Mike.
How about extra special?
How about extra special? Yeah, that's
Right. Well, and that's the 2 years that we were using was non-traditional and returning. Returning means you've been gone, we're welcoming you back. We're glad you're here.
I'm fine with older.
Beats the alternative,
It sure does.
right? If you got two options, getting older or not getting older, I do feel like Phil Donahue, by the way, speaking of aging myself. Laura.
She wants to speak too. My mom used to always say, don't get old, because she would have some pain or something. I'm saying, well, given the alternative, I mean, we're the lucky ones, right? And sometimes I use elder or wiser, or, somebody who is croned even. I got my AA in gerontology, and it was helping my mother who had somewhat mild Alzheimer's. And then I realized when I graduated, I said, now I are one myself. So besides helping your clients and other people, I mean, hopefully you're going to get there yourself. So it is helpful. I did get into San Francisco too, and couldn't afford it because they had just finished stopped their 60-plus program where you paid $3 a semester or something. But I came back and I got the Design for Life certificate. Now there's the bigger Universal Life certificates, or Universal Design, I guess. And then there's a fitness trainer program, and now there's also the senior fitness trainer program. So it seems like they keep adding things, which is good, but you have to do it all. But I've enjoyed it.
I came back to school as a returning student when I was in my late 30s. And I already had a bachelor's degree and I already had a first career, but I wanted to do something else. But I was thinking back on this when you're talking about the returning issue. When I teach microbiology here at American River, and when I came back to school, after 20 years being out of school, I took organic chemistry, majors organic chemistry and physics coming back to school. And I remember those first weeks being freaked out and thinking, I can't do this. This is crazy. What am I trying to do? And I really didn't have an instructor at that time that really sat me down and said, it's going to be okay. Drop the physics. Don't give up. But I almost gave up that very first semester. So I think when students, and I noticed this with not very many students take microbiology for fun. So they're usually there for getting into nursing or something else. But I do have a lot of returning students. And I see that same issue with a lot of returning students. They come back and they feel, okay, I'm less young. I'll use less young. I'm less young. I need to get this degree in a hurry. So they try to take too much, and they usually have children, they're usually working, and they try to take too much, and it's so easy for them to get discouraged. And so one of the things that I try to do to encourage continuing students is tell them my experience sometimes coming back, but also encourage them, you can go at your own pace to try to help them not be discouraged right that first coming back. Because I remember it being, and I was the same way not having the computer skills. It's been a lot of years ago, but computers had come of age between when I graduated from college and when I went back. So I didn't have computer skills, a lot of those same things that you've spoken about. And so, I think just mentoring our students that are coming back, when you see that deer in the headlights look on their face sometimes, and helping them to recognize they probably can't take anatomy and physiology and microbiology and math all together that first semester coming back, things like that. So anyway, that was my experience. I'm glad I stuck it out. I think the only reason I was able to stick it out without mentoring was because I had confidence in my ability from when I'd gone to school prior to that. But if I didn't have as much confidence in my ability, I think I would have not continued. So I think that happens to a lot of students.
Do you guys know if there's any special resources for students that are seniors and come back? I know there's special resources for disabled students and all that other stuff. Is there any special resources out there? So we're kind of like on our own?
Here we go.
Yeah.
I'm a student senate, and we used to have a reentry center here. And we found out some of the demographics at our training last weekend, and about 15% of our students are over 40. And so we could use that information to, try to do a push for that again. I don't see any, that's like 1 out of 7. And, if you go down to 30, it used to be don't trust anybody over 30, and that was old, But I think we could do more for the students. And so if anybody's interested in helping work on that, you can come see me.
Any other questions, comments? Brittany, I know you'd love to participate maybe next time. Any questions for Marla? She said, oh, she drove, never mind. No. Any other questions? Yes.
I don't have a specific question, but I can participate going based on what everyone said and, using the word old. I think the capacity for someone's age is really in their mind. Like Marla said, she is a really good friend of mine. I'm not going to say the age difference here because that's really no point. I am clearly the youngest one in this room. That was pointed out. But in my mind, I'm not. I don't see that. I go to Sac State. I graduated from here. I was here for way too long. But I feel like age is really just something in your mind, like looking in the mirror, you don't know how old you are. And I feel like there's a lot of people who are my age who are a lot younger than I am based on personal experience of people I talk to. So I really think that coming back, you have a better chance of making it work in college because you're more mature. And a lot of, I don't want to say kids because I don't feel like I'm a kid, but a lot of people around my age, school is something that they think they can put off. It's for fun. When I first came here, I will admit I did that. I was too young. I got put on academic probation, but that made me mature. So I think students who come back have a better capacity of making it and really pushing for it because you came back. You wanted to be here. And I just feel like age is just in the mind. Marla and I, we do hear a lot of things. A lot of people think she's my mother. She's not. We do hear, why are you guys friends? There's a huge age gap. We're both anthropology students. Maybe that has something to do with it. We have the same mindset. But it's really just about maturity. It's not about how somebody looks on the outside. It's about how they... It depends on the topic. So, I mean, it just really... For the people who obviously clearly show ignorance, when Marla said that she had the student who I'm hoping age-wise she grew up a little bit, because that's messed up to say. We're all here for one purpose, and if CD's students who came back just for fun to do that, that's a choice, not getting a degree, but it's still not taking up a spot. They're learning. So I really think age is just a number. It's the mindset that gets us here and gets us where we need to go. And that's just my view on that. So I don't...
Let me add a little bit to that. When I came back to school, one of the things I noticed a lot was that the youth that was around me, I'm not going to use old again, the youth that was around me gave me a lot of confidence and gave me a lot of courage to go into the different situations I was in school. And I think I gave them something, which was the maturity that I had and sitting down and spending the time and the energy to study and to work at the courses. And we kind of worked off of each other, and that helped a lot. And it was like I felt so young when I was around these groups of students. I mean, we had probably 10 or 15 students that hung with each other all the time. And I was the elder statesman, I guess you could say. But that mutual back and forth between us was very, very helpful to both of us, I think, the young and the old in the group.
Before we wrap it up today, what I would love is for Carla and Julie to really tell us the exact details. How much money? November 18th, we're so excited. How can we sign up for this? How can we get involved in this? Where is this happening? Let us know.
And I should probably let Julie, because she is the one that's gone all around town, and she's already the one that keeps getting everyone to sign up for the conference. But just a brief background on it, actually the foundation gave us a $5,000 grant to do this conference. The conference is for us, it's for the family, it's for the ARC students and faculty and staff and every single one of us. Daily we get calls from someone on campus with a question on what do they do with their parent or their aunt, or what do they do here. Challenge is you only have one opportunity sometimes to make those calls. And so we get calls from the neighbors, and we thought, okay, we need to have some of this education put out there on what can be done, and also what is the reality of getting older. And you might be interested in this. What is the reality? Because a lot of the things that we have about getting older and why we don't want to even use that word is because we have so many myths about getting older. So the conference is going to dispel myths. We're going to have Paro, the robotic seal, is coming from Japan. We'll have an autonomous vehicle. We have tracks on transportation, technology, longevity on how to eat, cook, eat, and move for longevity. We're looking at the potential of what aging offers us, because we need to be celebrating what aging is and the experience of it, because it is a natural process, and there's a lot of great things about getting older. We have two speakers. We have an opening speaker who is an emeritus professor from UCLA who started what's called the Age Stage, which is creative arts and performance for older adults, and she brought in a group from Korea, and they are older adults over the age of 70 that have all decided to become models, and they've been modeling and actually working with designers to do modeling and design. We have a closing speaker who is a professor over at Reno. We'll have a panel of people from the government here as well to answer those questions. I don't know how many of you know what HiCap is, but it's a free service, and you should use it, and it's something that helps prepare you. So they'll be here, and many others. Julie can tell you what it is that it's November 18th, 8:30 to 4:30, Saturday, all day. Includes lunch, cafeteria, well, student center, and we'll be using every building, every room around the student center. It's $20. Julie's kind of not excited about that as much. It's $10 for students, and the reason that she's not excited about the $10 one is because it costs us $20 to have you come to the conference, and the cost is $20. And for students, it's $10, which means we lose $10 for every student that attends. And we don't care if we lose money, because that's what we got the foundation grant for. So I'll let Julie tell you the rest that I didn't do, like how to find it.
Basically, anywhere you go on campus, those flyers with rocket ships, that's us. So if you want to find the information, you can go to the gerontology section at American River College. Click on the link Together Toward Tomorrow, and it'll give you all the information. I am so grateful to be sitting here with this great panel here, this great professor here. Professor Hokerson is actually going to be a speaker at the conference. Professor Casper Denham, she is going to actually is doing a project with her students in her class. So a lot of the different departments we've tapped into, because we didn't want to just hold a conference here on aging and work. We wanted to bring all the departments involved, in which we are. So again, it's going to be November 18th from 8:30 to 4:30. We are excited. Over here, the lady with the postcards right there, that's another one of the professors in gerontology, Professor Mary Schluter. And she has actually went to college here, went to San Francisco State, and actually has her own business, Aging Planet, where they help do placements for everyone. So wealth of knowledge here, and she'll also be doing it. like I said, I'm amped because, like I said, after my mom had her stroke, there wasn't resources there. I took care of her, moved in with my parents and took care of her, plus my full-time job. And what I did in the process, I let myself go. It wasn't until recent years that I was able to get back on the right track because caregivers are usually the first to go.
And don't forget, if they sign up for the November 18th event, it includes breakfast and lunch in addition to all of this
Absolutely.
other great stuff. So we wanted to thank, we're out of time.
Thanks. Because you get to be a geronaut. That's the whole thing. We want you to come and be a geronaut.
Thank you to our panel. Thank you all for being here today.
A geronaut.